Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and have ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Son of man, I have made you a watchman unto the house of Israel, and give them warning from me.
Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you, because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me.
No. No way.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on their right hand and on their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, save that he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Effective immediately, citizens who have not received the digital implant must be reported to the National Compliance Hotline. Remember, reporting is an act of unity and protection.
It's my brother. Failure to report will result in penalty. Stay with us for continued updates on the directive.
It's my son. He hasn't gone yet. I'm reporting him now.
All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
Move it. Clear left.
Report. Receive reward. Secure peace. Please
Lord.
move in. Report. Receive reward. Secure peace. Please.
They'll take us if you don't comply.
I obey God, not man.
Non-compliant citizen detained.
My own house!
Another non-compliant citizen detained.
Father, forgive me.
This brave citizen upheld the Premier's decree, ensuring unity through obedience.
Forgive me.
Move! Hands where we can see them! I did nothing wrong!
Compliance is unity.
How could you do this to me?
I had no choice. They said they'd take us all.
Report. Receive reward.
Next group!
Keep it moving.
For your safety, comply immediately. Compliance is peace. Processing sequence initiated. Non-compliant, detained.
Compliance ensures continuance.
Over 35,000 citizens have been safely integrated since yesterday's directive.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful that got there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Makakwadash. pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, and what I want to get into this morning, all right, with this morning news and prophecy is dealing with lying wonders and more. All right, and we know, the ultimate lying wonder, all right, that the devil is presenting to the earth, okay, is AI. All right, because the scriptures speak about how, this man, in the last days was able to do, miracles on the left-hand side. Okay. And we know one thing about, the left-hand side, they always exaggerate, the power of the left. Okay. Now there is power on the left-hand side. Okay. But what they do on the left, they always exaggerate, okay, the power of the left. Okay. And they always make it seem as if the power is unlimited. Okay. And that's what the devil is presenting to the world, his technology, his AI, his technocracy, his digital system. Okay. He's presenting, this unlimited, potential, okay, for mankind, for humankind, to transcend beyond anything ever, thought imaginable, man. Okay. So we're going to get a few precepts. We're going to go into some prophecy. Okay. Matter of fact, let's get Revelation 13. Okay. Let's get Revelation 13. I got it in the AMP, and we'll go back and forth and see that clip. The brother, I think the elder brother Ashiar out of the North Carolina camp, put that one together. But yeah, and it's spiritual that these are times we're in, to where people are getting ready to flip on each other based on, all right, compliance and non-compliance with this system, man. These are the times that we're in, and that's why we gotta be fully persuaded. As we approach these times, we gotta be fully persuaded and ready to take a hard stance in righteousness, man. That's why we're constantly tested, daily, to see if we're gonna make a stance. You see, because if we can't make a stance in righteousness in small things, then for sure we're not gonna make a stance, okay, in the times we're coming into now, but the Lord has, the elect, all right, being conditioned to resist, okay, and overcome the beast, man. Okay. Now I want to go here. This is Revelation 13:3, and it says, I saw one of his heads was seen to have a fatal wound. And this is, all right, the Roman Empire. This is the head that was wounded on the beast. Okay. The Western Roman Empire fell. Okay. Esau was completely, removed from power. Jake had supplanted him. What you had the Holy Roman Empire, was Jake was in position of authority, and Jake was even, emperors, before the Byzantine Empire, that was started by Constantine. Okay. Well, ultimately Esau was uprooted, okay, out of the authority of the Roman Empire, and the Western Roman Empire fell, and that was their fatal wound. Okay. Because if you was to, go back then, all right, and see the Lord had put Esau in the lower state. That's where you get the the caveman. Okay. Esau was pretty much a caveman, a base man, in the Caucasus Mountains. Okay. Nigga had lost, the ability to even, speak and form sentences good, man. Okay. You see, you go into Job 30. So the devil had this fatal wound. All right. He was removed from power, and brought low. Okay. But his fatal wound would be healed during the Renaissance. The Lord would allow this nigga to come back into power. Okay. And what did he do? He would revive their head that was wounded, which was wrong. Okay. When you go into the image of the beast, okay, well, this beast resembles, all right, the ancient pagan Roman Empire. Okay. The culture of this beast system, the energy, the spirit of this beast system, America, NATO, and EU, is Rome revived, man. Okay. We're living in a digital Rome. Okay. A more technological Rome. This is what this man has reestablished in the earth. This is what he's revived in the earth. It says an entire earth follow after the beast in amazement. Yeah, so you see all these nations, you know, they are influenced by this beast system, man. Okay, economically, all right, culturally, politically, okay, because all these nations, you know, they have a form of democracy. You know, these elected officials, okay, you know, they've taken on, you know, this Western way of, you know, this Western economy, okay, some form of capitalism. You see, a lot of these nations have taken on the culture of the West. You see, so the world has followed after the beast in amazement, because you see how, you know, the elites invested so much money into America. You know, and America had a middle class that the earth has never seen at one time. You know, America had, you know, a thriving period that the earth has never seen amongst, you know, its common people, mainly, you know, of course, the Edomites of America. Okay, they had this, you know, this crazy thriving middle class, man, in these nations. All right, they were influenced. They was enchanted by that, man, and they began to make themselves like unto the beast. So now this is why, you know, this devil, he plans to establish what? A global system. You know, because he's been spending, you know, decades, all right, getting these nations in his image. Okay, and all these governments of the world, all right, some form or some way, they're in this man's image. Some less than others, and then you have, you know, of course, you know, rivalries and, you know, tension and, you know, infight. Okay, but one thing about it, all these nations, okay, have, all right, conformed themselves to the beast. You know, it's certain things that they don't agree with, you know, certain nations. Okay, they you know, they have disputes about the model in which to run, you know, this technocracy, man. But all in all these nations have followed after, okay, the beast in amazement, man. Okay, all these governments of the world. You see? So now he's to the point to where he wants to centralize everything, man, with this beast system. Okay, with this sea hill. Okay, that's what's going to tie everything together, you know, into the grid, is putting the sea hip in everybody on the earth, man. The survivors of the chaos, man. That's his plan. You see, verse 4 says they fell down and worshiped the dragon because he had his authority. All right, because he gave his authority to the beast. They also worshiped the beast, saying, who is like as great as the beast, and who is able to wage war against him, man? And people look at this system like this system can't be conquered. Okay, this current system can't be stopped. You know, who is this? This is the greatest thing that a lot of people have seen as far as the empire. People, because, you know, no matter how corrupt people find out about these governments, man, people are still in love with this system, and they still participate. All right, they still look forward, you know, to, you know, their life, you know, in this system. They just pray for, all right, better resources, man. You know, well, more resources. Okay, they just pray for a fair shake. They just hope for a fair shake. Okay, but people love this system, man. You see, that's why they still go vote, because they still desperately want to see this system, all right, thrive, man. Okay, you can do it, you know, that do as thou wilt spirit. Okay, you know, the liberty to be wicked. You see, you know, the night culture, you know, the nightlife. Okay, the entertainment, the convenience of this world. You really, you know, you can just really kick it. You see, people love this system, man. People are not in tune with the earth. Esau has created a world where people are in love with a synthetic world. Okay, a lot of people are in love with a synthetic world, man. Okay, so a lot of people cheer for this system, man. Okay, not knowing that this system is leading to a digital enslavement. Okay, when you keep reading, it says, and the beast was given a mouth, the power of speech, uttering great things, and arrogant and blasphemous words, man. Okay, so this beast has become what? The mouthpiece of the earth. Okay, and you look at what this devil, how he boasts in his new world order, is openly, all right, being defiant against the Most High. Okay, this beast system's at the forefront of defiance against the Most High, man. You see, this whole technocracy is about him undermining the Most High. Okay, and said he was given freedom and authority to act and do as he pleased for 42 months, 3.5 years. Okay, so for 3.5 years, which goes to the 350 years, starting in 1619 to 1969. All right, this devil, had the free range. He wasn't being opposed in anything. Okay, but what happened after those 350 years? Let's go to chapter 11 real quick and tie it in. All right, just get straight to the point. It says, Revelation 11:11, it says, but after 3.5 days, okay, you see that going back to those 350 years, okay, the breath of life from the Most High came into them. And who is the them? All right, did the hopeful elect, the prophets, man, beginning with the prophets. Okay, beginning with Elder Abba Bivens. Okay, their breath of life, okay, came into Elder Abba Bivens. Okay, and then what? The Yahweh Shah, the spirit of Yahweh Shah started to enter into, okay, the prophets, man. Okay, and Yahweh Shah said that his dead body shall, okay, awaken in the third day. And we're in that third day, man, that 1,000-year period after the death of Yahweh Shah. We're in it. And Yahweh Shah prophesied that his body will raise after 3 days. Of course, he physically raised, the Most High raised Yahweh Shah up after 3 days, but then in the spirit, the body of Yahweh Shah, the believers would be raised up after 3 days, man. Okay, those 3,000-year periods. Okay, because we're in that 1,000-year period now. Okay, where that breath has entered into the body. All right, the church. You see, and what happened? And they stood on their feet. So this devil was able to have his way for 350 years until that breath entered into the prophets, man. Okay, and ever since then it's been downhill because it was a heavy time, 69, 70. Okay, because in the 70, that's when was 71. Okay, Nixon got off the gold standard, so the dollar, became a fiat currency, and it began to just inflate from there. Okay, you had the Vietnam War. All right, we just started a string of what they call these forever wars. Okay, so this man began to decline. This man, he made it to space, in the 60s. Okay, which we know, all right, that this devil, all right, going to space, all right, they opened up the prophecy, for the war in heaven. You see, and it also set up this devil because those satellites play a major part, okay, in the digital system as well. Okay. And we know the closer that this man gets to trying to establish this system, the closer he gets to his fall and the return of Yahweh Shah and his overthrow, man. You see? So this man, the Lord has just been having this man, all right, walk. Just as he has people walking into this digital trap, where the Most High got him walking into a trap, man. You see? And it says, and they stood on their feet in great fear and panic fell on those who were watching them. All right. Now, who's watching the prophets, man? Closely, man. The elites. Okay. They know what this means. And see, this plays a part into him knowing that he had but a short time. Okay. This ties into the devil understanding that he has a short time to do, okay, what he wants to do. Okay. So the Lord had this thing mapped out perfectly, man. The timing of Yahweh Shema Shai is perfect. Okay. And what we're seeing now, that this devil, this beast system, okay, is pushing, okay, these lying wonders, man. Okay, these miracles, these miracles on the left hand side. Okay, and he's boasting in these miracles. Okay, to market his new world order to the masses, man. Okay, so let's go here. This Revelation 13:6. Well, let's see. I might yeah, it says Revelation 13:6. It says he opened his mouth to speak blasphemies, abusive speech, slander against the Most High, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who live in heaven, man. You know, and you see how he's, like I say, he speaks, you know, very boldly and proud against the Most High, you know, as if he has, you know, created something of his own. Okay, and he has like some type of one up on the Most High. You see, as if he can out-create the Creator. You see, he blasphemed the name, the authority, okay, of the Most High, always speaking about what he's going to do, what he got coming next. Okay, undoing, you know, what's already established. He want to, you know, do away with, you know, real food and, you know, lab food. You know, he want to do away with genders and, you know, what you call some non-binary, man. This is blasphemy, man. Okay, this is how this devil wages war against the Most High. Is he's at war with creation, man. You know, because he can't actually wage war against the Most High. Okay, but what does he do? He wages war against creation, man, especially the people. All right, the tribes, man. You know, and it says in his tabernacle and those who live in heaven. He also permitted to he was also permitted to wage war against the saints, the Most High's people, and to overcome them in authority and power. All right, in authority and power over every tribe and people and language and nation. Okay, and this is why, okay, this devil, you know, he's in the position to even try to pull this off, man, because he's been given authority over all people, okay, on the earth, man, and now he wants to merge his technology with all people and centralize, you know, his control, you know, tighten down on his control, because this whole thing is a control grid. Okay, and Esau needs you to believe the hype, you know, surrounding this AI. Now the AI can do things, and this devil, he's able to do a lot of harm, you know, with this sword merged with AI, especially with civilians. Okay, which he's going to wreak havoc on civilians, man. He's going to be a madman, sparing none. Okay, but this devil, he wants you to believe this AI, you know, is as powerful as the Most High. Okay, which is a goddamn lie. Okay, nowhere near. It doesn't even begin, okay, to compare to our power, man. You see, but he needs people to believe, you know, that lie. It's a lying wonder. It's a lying wonder. It's a wonder. It's a sign that can, you know, it transcends, you know, the normal, okay, human ability, okay, but it's a lying wonder. You see, and all that it really can do. So let's go here. And one way that this devil, you know, projects, you know, and he hypes up this AI is through what you call prediction. You know, he put predictions out there as if they're facts, and people start to change how they move, and they start to move as if his prediction is a fact. And what happens, it starts bringing the prediction to life. You see, this devil, he's a master manipulator. You see, so he'll predict particular things, and then, you know, people will start to react and act and start to modify themselves based off this prediction like it's a fact. Okay, and then make it seem like everything he predicts is a fact, man. Okay, but a lot of times this nigga be lying, man. Okay, with these predictions, man. Okay, but with Esau, he just needs you to believe. Okay, let's go here. He just needs you to believe the lie, and that's why eventually he's going to do away, you know, with the internet. You know, the Lord's going to allow the devil to do the famine of the word, because he needs everyone following a certain narrative, man. Okay, as he transitioned into this new world order. That's why the truth is precious, man. So let's play this. I got a little snippet I want to play. This is a pretty good interview. Little chick, talking about AI. She's, one of those who really understands, that goes into the limitations of AI past the hype, goes into the perspective of AI, has limitations. Okay. So let's play a little bit of this. And she's going to go into these predictions as well.
But the systems behind them, namely surveillance capitalism, corporate concentration, state power, extractive labor models. She describes AI as the automation of empire. So is the danger in the prediction, or the fact that the prediction is currently controlled by a handful of corporates and states with extraordinary amounts of power and intersecting interests?
It's both, but it's difficult to disentangle them, because without predictions, they wouldn't have become the empires they are. And because without predictions, they wouldn't be able to do what they do, and they wouldn't be able to hide what they do. And so if you take apart prediction and you really question it, and you inform the citizenry, and we build an immune system towards predictions. So one of the magical things about predictions is they don't work if we don't believe them. They can only become self-fulfilling prophecy if we buy into them. But if the population suddenly goes, no, that's not the future. That's not the future, because that's not the future that I will build with my community, with my company, with my country. Then automatically that empire starts to be much weaker.
And I guess part of the problem there is that the dream that's being sold is a dream that's partly around the idea that we'll be working less, that the computers will take over, that we will be able to rely on them to do the hard work of thinking, and that the rest of us will then be able to, I don't know what we'll be able to do on UBI, but so are we all buying into a fairy tale, do you think? I mean, to what extent do you think the soporific kind of prediction that we will be living in a sort of almost like paradise-like future? I mean, I think so much of what you write about in the book reminded me of a kind of religious imagery, right? And the promise of paradise, but paradise in this world by people who don't seem very godlike, at least in my understanding of God. So tell me a little bit about the dream that we're being sold, and to what extent we're buying into that as a way of kind of accepting some of the problems that we already know are there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's relying on prediction, right? These people are saying like, well, but in the future, we won't have to work. And you accepting it as if it was a fact. And one of the marks of totalitarian systems is that they become a kind of translator from people's experience to what they can believe in. So in a totalitarian system, black is white and white is black. And if you say otherwise, you can go to jail. And suddenly you can't rely on your own senses and your own rationality to express what you're living, because you need to describe what you're living through the eyes of the dictator. And it's a bit like that. So yes, these people are saying that AI is the magic solution to everything. And I'm looking at it and experiencing it now. And I'm thinking, well, I'm working more than ever. How come? I'm getting more emails than ever. And this idea that convenience is so important is bizarre, because of course convenience is important. If you take the inconvenient option every single time, you won't do much in your life. However, in every area of life, we take it for granted that it's the inconvenient option that is the valuable one. So, doing a PhD or a career or reading a book or writing a book or having friends is inconvenient. Having kids is definitely inconvenient. Having a partner, exercising, eating well, voting, like all of these are very inconvenient things. So how come suddenly convenience has, risen to the top of the hierarchy in values, when we know that what makes life meaningful and important is precisely engaging with inconvenience?
And this man has, pampered people with convenience, and that's how people judge. All right. Which of course convenience, is useful. Okay. But then it's a thing. And they say that's why when you go into true wisdom, it's all about balance. That's why the scriptures deal with what the bitter, and the sweet. Okay. It's all about a balance. And this man just, pamper you. And Esau kingdom is all about overstimulating you, okay, getting you used to this, unnatural, all right, convenience, because people are supposed to, because when you deal with inconvenience, you're being developed, okay, and that's why you see people are so underdeveloped in this society. All right, these people are not natural, man. To depend on the government, okay, for everything, that's unnatural, man. All right, to not know how to feed yourself on the earth that we live on, that's unnatural. Okay, but people have swapped, okay, being developed, having self-autonomy, being self-efficient for convenience. You see, and that's the promise of AI. All right, is just another level of convenience, which is going to be appealing to the masses, man. Okay, now when you go here, it says a promise. So I just went, just a quick Google search. I said a promise of a digital utopia. It says the promise of a digital utopia is a foundational yet contested vision of modern technology. At its core, it suggests that limitless innovation will solve humanity's most complex challenges, eradicating disease, reversing environmental collapse, and rendering, grueling labor obsolete. The utopian vision thrives on the belief that digital advancement will inevitably liberate humanity. Post-scarcity, powered by the advances in artificial general intelligence, resource competition disappears, freeing humanity for entirely fulfilling pursuits, man. And this is part of the lying wonder, because he's lying about this technology, because the wonder is the technology. Okay, because it is able to do particular things, like it has its uses, it has, extraordinary abilities in certain things. Okay, and certain other things not so, but it does have extraordinary ability, okay, in certain things. Okay, and this is the wonder. All right, but he lying about his intent with this technology, man. Okay, and here it is. The system is already tyrannical now. Okay, but all of a sudden, okay, when he gets more control, it's gonna be a utopia. Okay, and that's the sales pitch, man. It'll give him more control so he can turn this thing to utopia. Okay, it says abundance and efficiency. Systems like smart cities and artificial intelligence can optimize resource distribution and solve global crisis. And this is why we're finna see, all right, what they call poly crisis, man. All right, crisis on top of crisis. Okay, this the chaos. Okay, that is going to be brought into the earth so he can present what? This digital utopia, a lying wonder. It says radical longevity. Transhumanist thinkers like Ray Kurzweil foresee technologies that merge biology and machine. The chip, man. Okay, transhumanism, eventually allowing humans to manipulate ordinary matter for unlimited. You see that? Unlimited, okay, computations and indefinite. You see, an indefinite lifespan. So he's telling you that, hey, he's going to make you immortal through technology, man. Unlimited. All right, computation. You're going to be all knowing through this. Come on, man. Okay. Now this is part of the blasphemy, man. Okay, there's only one that's omnipotent, omnipresence, omnipotent, man, and that's the Heavenly Father, all powerful, all knowing. Okay, but he's telling you through technology that he's going to reach that level. You're going to reach that level with him. Okay. All right, and then you got this dystopian reality and backlash, because you have, all right, people coming out. Okay, and it all begins with the prophets. Okay, like I say, there's something working against this, man. If a brother want to post that, 2 Corinthians 10:4 in the NLT, Baba Gashah. It said, despite these grand promises, many scholars, philosophers, and critics argue this vision functions more as a deceptive corporate narrative than a reality, man. Okay? And this is nothing but a sales pitch, man. Okay? So let's go back, play a little bit of this video. And like I said, the whole interview got some good info, but we just gonna play a few more minutes of it.
And then again, it's bizarre that we have this experience that we are working more than ever, and that actually AI is not taking on the boring jobs. It's taking on the interesting jobs, right? It's taking on jobs like design, where, well, we are stuck with the drudgery of bureaucracy, even though they're telling us, no, but in the future, AI is going to do the boring stuff and you'll do the fun stuff. But there's no evidence to sustain that. So if we were a lot more critical of predictions, and I think just noticing this, it's kind of strengthening your immune system, because suddenly you listen to a prediction and you go, wait, that's not a fact, it's a prediction. What does this person want from me? And then it changes the way you experience the world.
Well, on that note, you call the AI as the ultimate bullshitters, which I thought was great. This will come as a surprise, obviously, to many who look at them as the oracle of everything. Why are they the ultimate bullshitters? If you're enjoying the show, why not join our Patreon community? The Tea is more than just a YouTube show. It's a space to foster meaningful change together at a time of violent turbulence and dizzying change. Becoming a Patreon means you get exclusive content and the chance to shape the show. So join us now, link in our bio.
So the term comes from a philosopher called Harry Frankfurt. And Frankfurt argued that bullshit is much more dangerous for democracy than lies, because the truth teller and the liar are playing the same game. They're just on opposite sides of the court. But the liar needs to care about the truth and know what the truth is in order to lie. The bullshitter doesn't care. They don't care about the game, the rules of the game. There's no arguing against the bullshitter because they don't care. So they'll just say whatever is convenient to them and whatever gets them what they want.
Should sound familiar. Okay. And we see in the phase, all right, of Esau just BSing. You know, he doesn't care about anything. He just say anything. Okay. They just got Trump up there saying any goddamn thing. Trump will get up there today to tell you gas prices are dropping. You know, the economy is doing better than ever. The stock market, he get up there and just bullshit. You see, this is where they at with it. Okay? Because they finna come down with draconian measures. They finna come with this depopulation, man. Okay? They know this, they got to come with it. You see? So they're not worried about appeasing the emotions of the masses, man. Now they just been BSing you, playing in your face. Okay? Because they know they finna come with a depopulation. They know they finna come with crisis after crisis. All right? Pestilence. Okay? They know they're gonna escalate this war. So their whole thing is nigga tell them niggas anything now. Because what they know, what you gonna do? Okay? We'll cry on TikTok. Make a compilation of niggas crying on TikTok, complaining. Okay? And you're gonna carry your ass back to work when the compilation over with, man. All right, and go, matter of fact, you got 2 jobs, go get 3. Okay? So let's play a little more.
No concern for the truth.
Is this our entire political class?
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that AI is rising in time. It's not. And it's not the first time that it happens in history either. So Hannah Arendt, who lived through the Second World War, warned us about this, about how when leaders start talking in a way in which you can't argue with them because they don't follow the rules of logic or evidence, red flag for authoritarian tendencies. And AI was not designed to be truth tracking. This is not a scientific tool designed for science. This is a tool designed for profit, to satisfy our tastes. And just like we have taste for junk food, because in the past it was hard to find sugar and fat quickly, we have taste for narratives that are simplified, that rhyme, that sound plausible
examples of kind of some of the legal implications of when the AI bots basically bullshit us, right? Can you share with us some of those? Because I think it's important for people to realize, for example, that when you're engaging with a chatbot and it gives you false information about something, that there are precedents of the companies who own those chatbots trying to distance themselves from the chatbot, so trying to claim that the chatbot is a separate entity to them, right? Can you tell us a little bit about these implications?
And that's another thing too. This is why they need you to believe that AI, is its own entity, because it separates accountability from them. And they can just forward blame of anything that goes wrong on the AI, like the AI is a living soul. Okay, which that's a lying wonder. Okay. You see, AI is a machine, is a tool. Okay, it works on input output. Okay, if it didn't have this data to draw from, it wouldn't be able to do anything. Okay, but there's another thing that these devils are doing with this AI, and trying to hype it up, like it's a actual entity. Okay, so when the AI when the AI does wrong, okay, then they can just blame it on the AI and separate accountability from them. Okay, they can just give full governance to the AI, and say, well, look, this is with all the data, okay, this is the best results based off the AI. It's not us, it's the AI. Okay, to make this decision. AI said these many people got to go. AI said it's too many people on Earth. You see? So they need AI to be hyped up. Okay. So people can just have this unquestionable trust in the AI. You see? So let's go from there. Like I say, that's a pretty good interview. I'll put the link up in case brothers want to watch some more. But let's go here. Let's segue. Got this from. All right, this is another Catherine Austin Fitz, and she goes into the whole thing with Iran, why Iran matters so much. All right, within this digital system. Okay, so let's play this. And let me get this precept. I'm gonna go ahead and paste that video. Drop it in the link. It's a pretty good interview too. So let's go here. This is the brother. All right, servants of Yahushua 144. This 2 Corinthians 10:4. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through pulling down, all right, of strongholds. You see, and one stronghold that these devils have, okay, over the masses, okay, is this technology. The belief in this technology, man. People that's in awe, okay, of Esau's technology. You see, and they look at this current system, okay, this convenience, and they really believe the hype around everything that this man say. He's able to push these predictions out there. Okay, and that's why in the spirit, for the elect, these lies are being cast down. Okay, because most people, they believe a lie. Okay, most people in the planet Earth, most of our people, they believe a lie, man. Everything that they believe is based off a lie. Okay, and they really gonna look at this man's solution to the chaos. Okay, is salvation, because they already believe the lie. They already addicted to this man's technology. They already believe the hype of this man's technology. Okay, that this AI, can become godlike. Okay, that this AI is unlimited. You see? So you go here, this is a Mark of Ball in the NLT, and then if a brother can put that in I'm gonna go because I want to get a word in blue that I can get it. This 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, we use the Most High's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the stronghold of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments, man. Okay, so with this truth, all right, what this truth does for the elect, man, it knocks down the strongholds that was in our minds. Okay, the reasoning that we had in our mind based off the lies, man. Because we was all operating off lies in the darkness, man, before we came into the truth. But it's the truth that this word going forth that's destroying these false arguments, man. Okay, and we're able to see with clarity in the light, man, that this nigga is lying, man. Okay, and I say he throw these predictions out there to get people to modify their behavior based off these predictions. Okay, so people began to, because now the whole thing is everybody trying to master AI. Okay, which is nothing wrong, though. You gotta do what you gotta do for work. Okay, but he's not telling you that this is going to be your digital, enslavement. You see, he has people, mastering the AI, and just so excited about, the AI advancement, not knowing that's your digital prison. Okay, that's advancing. You see, the AI is godlike. If you don't merge with the AI, you can't keep up with it and all this. Like when they put the brain chip in you, you're just gonna be able to download and know black jujitsu, Brazilian jujitsu and all. This nigga lying. It don't work like that, man. Okay, like you're just gonna be able to speak 28 languages once you get the brain chip and all. This nigga lying, man. Okay, that don't work like that. But he says so much that people like, damn, I got to keep up with technology, man. You see? And so people is having this anxiety about technology, man. And guess what? He present that C-hip, as a way for you to keep up with technology. This is unlimited technology. Okay? You want to keep up. Okay? Because he wants people to integrate with this system even before it get just crazy chaotic, man. He wants people to volunteer, for this system, man. So that's why he keep pushing the lies, with the wonder. You see, with the technology, man. So, let's get that real quick, and then we'll go to a little bit of that interview. So let's go to let's go to let's get down 2 Thessalonians. All right, 2 Thessalonians. All right, 2:9. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. This is Esau. Okay, because Esau runs the earth, possessed by the spiritual demon Satan, man. Okay, he's influenced directly by Satan, in the way that he runs the earth. It said with all power and signs and lying wonders. So let's get into, all right, because we know the signs. Go back to the Simeon. Okay, we go into this word in Greek, Simeon, in the Greek. Okay, which goes into a sign and marker token, and it says that it says a sign, a prodigy, important, i.e., it says an unusual occurrence transcending the common course of nature. So the way that this AI is able to compute information, especially when it comes to accounting and numbers, and the way that it's able to throw together, all right, you asking the question, the way that it's able to, respond quickly with certain information, that transcend the common course of nature, So as I say, it can, it's a sign, it's a wonder. So it's able to, do extraordinary things and but it's limited because certain things it can do extraordinary things. Certain all right, tasks, it can do it in an extraordinary manner. And then certain tasks, it struggles. Okay, it's not useful. You see, but he rides the wave of what it can do in the extraordinary fashion and say, look, we're progressing to something that's going to be unlimited, man. Okay, which is a lie. You see? And this devil done already hit certain walls. He's peaked out with particular things, and this is why he, okay, is rushing. Now he has to rush this thing, man. Okay? So you go into these lying signs, you know, they're able to do, you know, let's say extraordinary things. Okay? But then when you go into this word lying, okay, look at this word lying, all right, which is what? Pseudos. You see, pseudos. Okay, which is what? A lie. Okay, a lie. It says a conscious and intentional falsehood. This nigga know he lying. He know how limited this AI is, man. Okay? He know that. He know the limitations of this thing, man. Okay, so it's a conscious and intentional falsehood. Okay? It says a lie or conscious and intentional falsehood, man. You know, so a lot of these things this devil be hyping up, man, but he needs you to believe the hype because it plays into this narrative, man. Okay? It says, even with all deceivableness of unrighteousness and them that perish because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion. These are Israelites, because only Israel can be saved. Okay, so these are our people that are given over to deceivableness, okay, in which they're going to be judged for wandering after the beast, man, and they love not the truth. Okay, and in order to love not the truth, well, they will have to be exposed to it, man. And that's why the Lord raised up the prophets. Okay, it says and for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion that they shall believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth but have pleasure in unrighteousness, man. Okay, and this is a wicked, rebellious, unrighteous, lying wonder that this man, okay, is presenting to the world as a utopia. Okay, so let's go here. Just want to segue to this other interview. Yeah. You see, they got the Neuralink, you know, just to play Mario Kart. Okay, and just like the brother Nabala said, you see, why that nigga ain't jumped out that chair yet and danced? Okay, the nigga still in that chair, head leaning. Okay, playing Mario Kart. Okay, and that's supposed to be this great miracle. You see, it says yeah, let's go here. So she's gonna talk about Iran's role, you know, which, you know, speculate, give or take. All right, but we know prophetically we'll tie, you know, we tie these things in prophetically. You know, we take, you know, what they say with a grain of salt and tie these things in prophetically, man, what we know to be true in the scriptures. So let's play a little bit of this.
Read The Aristocracy of Stock Profits. It's online, and I've never put it in hard copy because every time I try, it gets sabotaged or people get threatened. So I've just left it online, and it requires a lot of links and documentation. So it kind of works well in a digital form. But what I describe is how the dirty money was sort of rolling up and taking over Wall Street during the 80s, and we could feel essentially the push for central control. And once you put Bush in the vice president's office, you know, in the beginning of the 80s, and then you have a real push for centralizing control of the economy and politics. And of course, using digital technology to do that. So when I came out of the Bush administration in 91, I literally said to somebody, they're going to use this technology to control and kill us all. And so I'm going to come up with a better plan.
You see that? They're going to use this technology to control and kill us all, man. You know, like I say, because we can't, downplay the depopulation agenda that these devils got. All right, and that's how we know they're going to, the Lord going to put the spirit on them, because the Lord has a depopulation agenda. You see, and the Lord going to put the spirit on them to achieve, all right, a lot of slaughter on the left hand, through left hand means. Okay, so we know America is going to be the worst place to be, because America has to get the most caught up to this new world order system, man. Okay, so let's go from here. She's going to go into Iran, I believe, in a minute.
From that, and here we are again. It looks like we're on the precipice of something in terms of...
Yeah, so COVID 2.0 is underway.
I saw you talk about that.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I don't know what this is. Yeah, I think this is clearly, we're looking at another major global operation.
I heard one of your interviews in relation to Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. As we sit here today, today's March 26th, where do you see this at now in terms of, well, look, before you answer that, let me back up a second, because yesterday, I want to get your thoughts on President Trump appointing Mark Zuckerberg, Jensen Huang, and Larry Ellison on a board of science and technology advisors.
Well, if you come into Solari, we have a collection that we update every week called the Approaching Digital Control Grid. And this administration has been very, very focused on building the digital control grid. They literally came in, and from the first day, they just hit the decks running, building the digital control grid. That's what they're doing in Ukraine. That's what they're doing in Gaza. That's what they want to do in Iran, because Iran is the last of remember Wesley Clark, 7 countries in 5 years. It's the last country they need to lock down if they're going to do a digital control grid. So, or I shouldn't say it's the last, it's the most important one they have to lock down. It's that 7th, and what was supposed to take 7 years, 5 years. And so, we're now in 25 years. So you can tell they're frustrated. But anyway, if you look at that digital control grid, what they did was they built a board of people.
And then she made the point, it's certain things that they're behind on. All right, but ultimately it's the Lord's time. You see, because these devils really want to be farther ahead than what they are. Okay, but everything don't go according to their plans all the time. Things backfire. They have setbacks because it's the Lord's time. You see, matter of fact, my brother put that in Habakkuk 2 and 2 and 3. You see. Everything is operating on the Lord's timing, man, because, this word had to go out. The elect will have to be built up, getting geared up for these times. And then the Lord would, allow particular events to take place, man. Okay. So there's a sense of frustration, all right, from these devils, moving forward. And that's why it's going to get so bad. All right. Especially here in America, man. Okay.
Who are instrumental in helping to build the digital control grid. So it makes perfect sense.
But the Iranians have something to say about that, right?
So as long as the Iranians can find a way to trade, you have to look at this in the balance sheet. There's both a control of physical assets and control of financial assets going on. Okay. So, there's a lot of conversation about what's happening in the military side of what's going on in the Middle East. But remember, there's a financial operation too. So right before the regime change exercise that failed, you had the United States really try and drive the Iranian currency into the ground. And that was a very important part of that operation. But since February 28th, I just read one Substack that said the currency's down 40% since February 28th, and they're trying to shut off liquidity. So Iran has shut off the SWIFT system. One of the reasons I suspect they're taking yuan to transit the Hormuz is the Chinese are allowing them a way to trade, and to get financial liquidity by getting and using the yuan. Okay. But what they're trying to do is shut off their flow of energy, which is bringing in revenues, and they're exporting, or it's running their control grid, and then shutting off their financial liquidity. And it's a drain game. How fast can you drain their ability to function versus how fast is the United States and the West getting drained by the higher oil prices and the financial problems? Now, if you look at who's getting hurt, the U.S., the U.S. advantage is it's as a financial matter, it's net self-sufficient in energy, and it's an exporter of energy. So it's in relatively good shape. Whereas Japan, or countries that have very low reserves are in real danger. So you've got a draining game in the West, and certainly in Israel. Israel's feeling the pain. But you've also got a drain game going on in Iran, and the question is who's going to call uncle first. Now, if Iran can hold out with enough energy flow and enough liquidity flow, probably through the Chinese, maybe through the Russians, then it's a real game changer, because the effort to implement the digital control grid is going to have a real stall in it, because there is a leakage in the system, and Iran is that leakage in the system.
Yeah. So, and the Lord set it up that way, to have Iran, to be this country that holds out. Okay. Now, like I say, we know, as we went into before, Iran, does have digital infrastructure. Okay. So their government, is ready to merge with a technocracy, but they want to do it, all right, on their own terms. They don't want to do it, as a footstool to the West. Iran is like, look, we a power. We a power player in this thing. We ain't finna go into this system. There's no Edomite slave colony. Okay. That's basically what you see happening with Iran. Okay. Now there's always, multiple plays going on at the same time. But as far as prophecy, okay, we know that this conflict is going to escalate into an all-out war. All right. Where these other power players are going to get involved. Ezekiel 38. Okay. So this is, the Lord's prophecy playing out. You see, and these devils are being forced, okay, to have to, try to roll this new world order out, and at the same time fight this war. Okay, now they're able to manipulate the war and cause, crisis, and use the war narrative, to do other things. Okay, but this thing is, this war is not going to stop. Okay, it's going to continue, all right, to escalate, and all the alliances, okay, spoken of in the scriptures are forming, okay, based off this war. You see? So we're seeing the Lord do his will, all right, in the earth, man. Let's go here real quick. Matter of fact, I think it was one more. I think it was one more minute mark I want to get. What's that, 20? I think it was like the 30, 33. Let me see.
Global model. We had a global open trade model. And if I needed something, I just bought it, even if that meant it came from the end of the world. And with an open trade model and protected sea lanes, you could build products where the parts came from 30 different countries. And it was economic. And you could have just-in-time inventories. That whole model's gone, because now we have not a unipolar model is running the global sea lanes. We have the unipolar empire saying, I'm no longer responsible to be the global cop. I'm just going to use my power to take what I need, right? And China's saying, okay, well, maybe we'll do the same. And Russia's saying, okay, well, maybe we'll do the same. And so you have this, it's not a, it's a unipolar bully in a multipolar world. It's the only way I can describe it. Because the multipolarity is not that we're willing to collaborate and share power. It's like, okay, we're no longer obligated to play the global cop, but we're perfectly happy to be a unipolar, take everything. But what that means when globalization breaks down, it means everybody suddenly needs to reinvent their resource resiliency. And that means, suddenly, if you're leading the United States military, you got to have Greenland, right? And, so if you look at.
Yeah, she goes into some, it's pretty good interview. I think we'll leave it there. So let's get a couple of these priests about the comment board, because at the end of the day, all right, these nations, they all have, a infrastructure, all right, a digital infrastructure that's ready to merge into this global system, okay? And the discrepancy comes into, the status, each nation going to go into the new world order with, okay, the resources, that each factions are going to control, okay? So you see the infight, and we know it's going to continue to escalate, all right, into the war, all right, prophesied in the scriptures, man, okay? And everything is happening at the appointed time, all right? If a brother want to get that Matthew 24, verses 6, 7, and 8, Bible Shah. So this is the brother Yashima tribe of Judah, Habakkuk 2 and 3 said, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Okay, so we know that these prophecies all have their appointed time, and the Lord, all right, has been dragging this thing out, all right, for his purpose and his will, his perfect time. You see, and ever since, they went into, they've engaged into this conflict with Iran since February 28th, okay, things are going into another phase, to the point where you have, an energy crisis, food crisis, all right, and another pestilence, all right, that can all happen, at the same time, okay? So this is the Lord, all right, taking this thing to the next phase, allowing these devils to get a little farther in their agenda, okay? Because remember, the farther they get into the agenda, the closer we get to salvation, man, and a righteous kingdom being established in the earth, So when these things hit, see, and what we're seeing, all right, when this thing really hits, when this war really takes off, when, the famines and the pestilence really begin to wreak havoc in the earth, man, because it seems like it's tarrying, but it's going to come a time when these things are just going to hit and things are going to be moving warp speed, man, and that's our faith that it will surely come, you see? So, let me see. This is the book of Matthew 24 and 6. The servants of Yahushua 144 says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and king, all right, against kingdom, okay? And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows, man. So we know, war, the narrative, okay, the conflicts that are going to lead to this all-out third world war, where they're already in progress, okay? So as this war, all right, is in progress, you have these other prophecies that have to happen. This devil has other things, okay, on the agenda that the Lord wants him to pull off, man. Okay, and we know depopulation, okay, the civil unrest, the persecution of the prophets, okay, and the collapse of this economy and the mandatory implementation of this MOTB, this RFID here. So these things have to happen. So we're in the beginning of sorrows because this devil needs to bring chaos, okay, so he can present this lying wonder, okay, as a solution, okay? So, yeah, we'll leave it there. Just want to tap into that this morning, Lord will, you brothers, all right? And, okay, if you sisters were edified once again. We'll give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.